Yesterday, we watched Sean Tracy come on Star Citizen Live. He answered a lot of questions about systems and tools and what was being used to build Star Citizen. I asked questions during that show about Rastar, and Mr. SeriousFun, guest on the Citizen Central podcast, a good member of the community, a friend, he followed up with a little question on the forums to Sean Tracy and actually got an answer on it. So I figured we would go through the question. Shout out SeriousFun. Thank you guys. Check him out. We'll put his link down below. And listen to what Sean had to say about this answer, because I'm surprised we're actually getting one. SeriousFun said, Sean, thanks for sitting down with Jared today. Space Tomato offered up some questions those of us slightly obsessed with the development of the game and the tools that drive it might have asked today. Here from those marks, if you could follow up on your talk today with your thoughts on what Tomato runs through in those 2 minutes, it would transform our understanding of pieces of the project. I am going to cringe my way through listening to what comes up here. I would really love to sit down and talk to Sean Tracy, because one of the most interesting questions is how all these tools work. Like, I keep bringing up Rastar. That's because Rastar was worked on. Oh, that's good. My camera's freezing. Points of interest. But now it seems maybe like it's been delineated or become legacy because Starchitect is now supposed to be working on points of interest. I don't know. Do we know? We don't. What happened to Hex? Is that still being worked on so that the reputation can run through Hex and that can link up with the simulations in StarSim and Quanta? Are they still using the Odin editor for that? Is Houdini still working well? Oh, God, dude. I can't believe he's actually answering this. Oh, God. He's going to get to call out all of the misconceptions I had. Yay! All right. Let's see how I answer this. I'm not going to go through the rest of it. Sorry. Sean said, hi, SeriousFun. Great to hear from you and glad you watched. Yeah, I would have loved to have a few more hours to talk deeper on some of the tool chains and other aspects of my work, since we covered a very small portion. I don't usually get on the forums here, but as you were so kind to me in person, happy to share what I can. Yeah, SeriousFun also did the Quantum Vegas. He was part of the Quantum Vegas event last year. You guys should definitely check it out next time they have one. I know they're currently working on planning one here. Here he is, content creator, community content creator. And they did have, like, Sean was there, and Sandy Roberts and Xylo, and like a lot of the folks from the company came through. So it counts to be a good person to other people. He said, Space Tomato, I watched a section of the video linked by SeriousFun and happy to give some info. For Rastar. Rastar indeed was the stepping stone to what has become Starchitect. Rastar suffered a bit of a problem on the onset, which was a small identity crisis. Huh. It wasn't created by a tools team to start, although it started as a development tool. It quickly, I remember when they first talked about it, they mentioned that it was like, maybe it would lean into where base building went. Like, with hindsight, you could tell it's sort of like that was the prototyping phase and things were still, it wasn't entirely clear what the future of it was. That's interesting. It quickly shifted, though, to potentially being player-facing for things in the future. Could have just kept reading. Development-facing tools have totally different intentions than a player-facing tool would, though. Although this is just my opinion, that was part of why it slowed down. Some lessons learned from it helped, though, and much of that tech has made its way into Starchitect. Okay, cool. So without diving too deep into it, Rastar has been used to get us as far as we are and is used to place some locations, but most, if not all, of the development-facing side has moved to Starchitect, which incidentally has been made explicit with the updated Genesis model in mind and is more fit for purpose. Thank you, Sean. And thank you, SeriousFun. I'm so glad that we got this answer. To have at least like a clear line from an understanding of what happened to Rastar is fun. So let's go back. We can actually find they have a couple episodes about it. Shouldn't be too hard. So this was back in 2023. This was like the last time we really heard about it. They were changing over all the old locations to Rastar for a specific reason. Let's see if they actually tell us specifically why they're doing that here. Just to get some more context about what Rastar is, and then we'll move on to Starchitect and the other stuff.
Currently in the Stanton system, there are 70 underground facilities, or UGFs as we call them. And when these were built a couple of years ago, we had the kits to build a wide variety of these assets. However, due to technical limitations, we weren't able to realize their full potential. At that time, we had 70 locations, but we only had 2 security UGFs and 2 drug UGFs. This isn't a case of we haven't had enough assets or enough time to do the art. Up until this point, we have all the things that we need to do the job. The Rastar tool has really just allowed us to take this to the next level. We are now able to go back and to revisit these 70 locations to create a wide amount of variety so that each location doesn't look like a copy-paste version of the other. This has allowed us to really go back, spend some time with these locations and help them realize their full potential.
This is like, I'm not gonna lie, I started this to be a news video, but this is going to be a deep dive because this is one of the more interesting parts of development, in my opinion, because it's a combination of the points of interest team has to build their points of interest. They need the art, they need the systems to place that stuff, they need all the things that are going to go inside those locations, and they need to make sure those locations work with them. But at the same time, they're completely screwed if the Planetary team cannot give them a planet to put their locations on. And for the longest time, I don't know if they talk about it in this video, they struggled to put enough locations down on the ground. We didn't have the normal looking outposts. All of these previous outposts were on stilts because every time they updated the planet tech, the moon would shift. And some things might be underground or something. So because they couldn't flatten the ground perfectly for these moons every time they put the actual buildings down, they just put them on stilts so that they didn't have to make everything perfectly flat.
Location. So I'm going to open up the Rastar tool over here, and the first thing that I need to do.
So they created this tool, but they really couldn't utilize it that much until they got the Planet Tech working, which is why I think they keep emphasizing that Starchitect is being built with the Planet Tech. Because unlike before, where they ran into this roadblock of not being able to get things they needed onto the ground to create new mission locations and stuff, now they're doing it all from the get-go. And Starchitect looks pretty sick. We won't get into that because that's just a whole nother rabbit hole we've covered far too many times on the channel already. Let's continue with this answer. He moves on from there to Houdini and Mighty Bridge. He said it still works. Great work from the Montreal Tools group. Honestly, it's quite sophisticated and still used in some regards to import Mighty Bridge tools and live connect the editor to Houdini. That's also really cool. When I asked about it, I did think that it was probably still working because it seemed like one of the most powerful things they had created. And they seemed pretty proud of it. It's not even an obscure thing. This is a tool that they use to... This is new. Looks like Houdini actually published a video on it. Interesting. So the idea behind this is Mighty Bridge is a tool that allows people to use editors like Houdini inside of the Star Citizen game engine, inside of Star Engine. And this is just another one of those things that is not something that you can just go on a forum and tell someone, yeah, dude, part of that $1 billion went into the fact that they've created unique bespoke tools that do things that other companies in the industry just haven't been able to. It doesn't work. That's nuance. It doesn't matter. It's still $1 billion. But when you get into the deep end and you start looking at the details, I think it's really cool just how much CIG has like melded the format and the strategy around them, I guess. Like they really take on the form of a tech company. That's why I made the video comparing them to Tesla, because I feel like they both kind of did that same thing where they've created a wall around themselves based on the tech that they've developed for a specific purpose, and it's really helping them out at this point. Because, I mean, when you have companies like Houdini, or I guess, is Houdini a company? You have brands like Houdini flouting your tech. I think that means you've done something right.
I'll talk about the team and the project we are working on and the technical challenges we face. And what is done, we see the technical solution we choose to develop. Then I'll continue by showing you all the Mighty Bridge works and what type of tools we can do with it.
Okay, so he's from the Montreal team. That's why he's explaining it. I'm not going to be able to find you the actual footage that they published, but I think I do have some here in my thing. Yeah, so just Mighty Bridge. Here's some of the examples of what they were using it for. creating space stations, creating ground locations, placing all of the stuff inside of those locations quickly, speeds up their workflow a lot, and they don't have to make a new tool to do it. Instead, they just made a tool that brings the industry standard tool into their own engine. So all the people they hire don't have to learn a new software. They can suddenly just say, hey, in order to get this position, you just have to know Houdini, which is lowering a huge barrier to entry to work there. A lot of location editing. The turbulent acquisition, really good call. Continuing on from there, he also talked about some more tools. Yay! He said cover tools, a tool to place cover objects around a selection of mesh in the editor. Oh, this is, okay, wait, I'm sorry. It's quite sophisticated and still used in some regards to import Mighty Bridge tools and live connect the editor Houdini. Some tools and cases include, so this is all included in Houdini and Mighty Bridge, or inside of Mighty Bridge. Cover tools, that would be the tool to place cover objects around a selection. Ledge tools, a tool to automatically place ledges at the correct spots on each object you have selected. Cable generator, uses Houdini Vellum simulation to generate cables, using splines to create the base and objects in scene or planet surface as collision. You know what? I actually think I might remember where they specifically talked about that. It was they were designing, I think, Ruined Station or something, and showing us a little walkthrough of the process creating it. And we got to see like the ridiculous mass of cables hanging down from the ceiling. And I'm pretty sure he actually talked about, yeah, we got this working in Houdini, bro. No, it would have been up here. I'm not gonna be able to find it. Tarp generator uses simulation to generate tarps using splines to create the base cloth and objects in scene or planet surface as collision. Okay, that I can find, dude. Because Sean Tracy was literally the one who demonstrated their tarp simulation the first time. 2018, here we go. Oh yeah. Sean was all about it here. Look at this man.
Things like weather
up on the stage.
You need
he
to
was
be able
so freaking pumped for this, and I was really pumped for him for this. It's sick. Look at this.
Basically, physics start. So you see, I spawn up this cloth, and
it's crazy looking back to just understand how much of this game was in R&D and prototyping until just very recently.
I was getting lonely. So you see, I spawn up this cloth, and it keeps pausing. Sorry about that. I spawn the cloth in, and I just turn on our AI physics, and basically physics starts simulating, and that drapes over the ship just as you would expect it to. So now I keep playing around with it a little bit, and there's so many different properties.
And they have like really gone. That's just the first time they showed it to us, but as we saw, we were looking at it just yesterday. What video was that in? Do you guys remember? That was in his next Starcloth presentation, which I honestly couldn't tell you where that was. They've gone very far with it. The Starcloth stuff is pretty crazy. The tarp stuff, the generating, it's cool. And it's the kind of things that these people are focused on, not really the gameplay developers. Pile generator allows you to create simulated piles of objects that are affected by gravity and ground collisions from any selection in the editor. It can also scatter and duplicate them along a spline or in specific directions. And Spline Instancer Tool, a tool to place different objects on a spline with different modifiers. You know, I feel like this, I don't even know where I'm going to be able to find this. Yeah, this was something that was supposed to be happening in Orison. You know, all the little pedals on the ground in Orison? I bet you this depends on Mighty Bridge stuff too. Because they originally wanted to get this in pretty early on. This is like 4 years ago, 5 years ago. And I think they probably still will do it, but that's a hell of a simulation. Need some optimization for that. And I think you're supposed to be able to interact with them even. Yeah, they wanted to do like little vector volumes so that you could even push them around as you moved. All of this is the kind of stuff that I think Sean is crucial to make happen. It's really good that they were able to bring him over from the CryEngine. And I'm so grateful he's still here. Thank you so much for the answer, Sean. He said, I love telling you guys about how we are putting this stuff together, and it's changing more than you'd think it does based on technology, expectations, and sometimes crazy ideas. So totally understand the questions and hope that sheds a bit of light on the areas you wanted more info on. Sean, Criminal, Tracy. I really freaking appreciate that these guys will talk so in depth about what they're doing. We are obsessed with learning how this works. I think the coolest part of Star Citizen has always been understanding how the game is actually built. Sure, it's maybe been a little bit of a difficulty at times, but still fun to watch.